Welcome to another episode of Half Man, Half Amazing. Today I will be breaking down Top Gun Maverick. Here we go. So the movie opens up explaining how in 1969 the Navy established an elite school for the top 1% of its pilots. The purpose was to teach aerial combat and to ensure that the handful of people that were selected were the best pilots in the world. The Navy calls it Fighter Weapons School, but the actual flyers call it Top Gun. I liked how Top Gun Maverick opened up with the same intro as the first movie 30 years ago. So we get the same music, which gives us that familiar feeling. We get to see the pilots taking off and landing their jets on the ship. We get to see Maverick, which is Tom Cruise. We get to see Maverick fixing his jet because he still loves the adrenaline. He still loves the planes. He can't get away from it. He loves it. We walk over to his station where we see a bunch of photos from the first movie. We get to see Iceman, played by Val Kilmer. We get to see Maverick and Goose. Now, Goose was his wingman. That was his best friend. That was his ride or die. Goose ended up dying tragically in the first movie, though. Along with those pictures, we see Goose and his family. Now, Goose had a wife and a son. Next to that, we see a calendar. On the calendar for today, it says Mach 9. Now, Mach is a measurement of speed. So that's the goal for today. Tom Cruise gets on his motorcycle, drives down to the base, only to find out that the test program is being scrapped. Basically, the contract threshold was for Mach 10, and because they didn't get there in the right amount of time, the General Kane is on his way to personally shut down everything and tell everybody to go home. But before he gets there, Maverick ends up illegally taking the jet, taking off in the sky, trying to get to Mach 10. So we go 7, 8, 9. Once it gets to 9.9, the jet starts breaking. Pieces start breaking off. The engine breaks off. He does reach Mach 10 though. He does it. So he completes his goal, gets in trouble for it, of course. But basically, it's just to establish the skill level that Maverick has, even though it's 30 years later, and to remind us that he still has that daredevil personality. So the movie progresses. Maverick ends up getting called into General Kane's office, and General Kane is giving him a hard time. I could dishonorably discharge you, court martial, this, that, the whole nine. But he surprises Maverick, telling him that he's been called back to Top Gun. And he's also been appointed to train and teach a class of students in order to accomplish a mission of destroying an enemy base that is threatening to blow up the United States and all that. Maverick accepts the offer, says, okay, I'll do it. I'll teach the class. Next scene, they go to a bar. Maverick goes to a bar, just to wind down. Ends up seeing an old friend. She runs the bar now, so they're just doing their catch up, having a good time catching up. The class of students that Maverick is about to teach ends up coming into the bar. So they all have their call names, their call signs, and the call sign is basically like a nickname. So you have Payback, Hangman, Trace, Rooster. Now, Rooster is special because Rooster is Goose's son. That's the little boy that was in the first movie. He's growing up now. And everybody knows who Maverick is. He's pretty known in that city. He's the guy that won't retire, but he won't accept any promotions. So he likes to stay where he is in that middle ground. He's comfortable there. So Maverick is ready to pay his tab now. He passes his card to the bartender, but the card declines. And they have this thing where when somebody's card declines, she rings the bell, the whole bar turns up cheering or whatever, because they know that whoever can't pay the tab, that person gets kicked out the bar. So when the music stops, Rooster goes over to the piano, sits down, starts playing a few things. Maverick gets up from outside and he's walking away. But as he's walking away, he hears a song. It sounds familiar. He walks back up to the bar and it flashes back to the first movie. Now, the song that Rooster is playing on the piano is the same song that his dad, Goose, was playing in the first movie. Singing it the same way, playing it the same way, having a blast. The whole bar is singing the words. It's a good thing. But for Maverick, it hurts because it's like that was your best friend that died in the first movie, and now your son that I'm about to teach is moving just like you. He looks just like you. He's playing the same song. It's a real flashback moment scene and a real heartfelt scene. And it's like, dang, you know? So Tom Cruise, or Maverick, he kind of just creeps up out of there. He walks away, his feelings is hurt. He's feeling guilty because of Goose and how Goose died in the first movie. He feels like it's his fault. He's responsible for it. So the next day comes and Maverick formally introduces himself as their teacher. This is the first day of training. Let's get to it. There's a mission at hand. We got things to do. So the class looks at Maverick like he is an old, washed up man from 30 years ago. There's no way he still has these skills, all that type of thing. So they place a 200 push-up bet, 200 push-ups, to where if the target locks on that person, you're out. You got to come down, come back down to the ground, do your 200 push-ups. It's fun. It's funny because Maverick runs through the whole class. The whole class ends up having to do 200 push-ups, every single last one of them. Rooster takes it personal though, because Rooster holds a grudge for Maverick. He feels that Maverick is the reason his dad died, and he also knows that Maverick pulled Rooster's application papers to the Navy. He's mad at that. He feel like he wasted his time. He slowed his time down, basically. He could have been in the Navy. He could have been doing this thing. But because Maverick pulled his papers, he had to sit back and wait. Now, Maverick's point of view is he saw his best friend die, Goose, which is Rooster's dad. He saw him die in the beginning in the first movie. He doesn't want to see Rooster die just like his dad died. So out of fear, he pulls his papers, which is selfish. So Maverick gives the class the details of the mission. We are here to destroy an enemy base. Now, the enemy base is in between two mountains. It sits at the bottom of it. Now, we have to go through a canyon and we have to fly at a certain altitude. Now, the safe altitude, they call it the hard deck, is 500 feet. But because the canyon is at an enemy base, they have guns that if detected, if you fly higher than 500 feet, they'll shoot you down, you die. So we have to fly lower. Maverick's maximum altitude is 100 feet. So we flying real low to the ground right now. We gotta make it through the canyon without being detected. Go up the mountain, come down, shoot the target. We have to hit the target or we're doing all this for no reason. Come down, hit the target, make it out. Now, it's the steep climb out, a real steep climb out. And the speed that you're going and the tight turns, it intensively multiplies your body's gravity. So it'll feel like you're weighing 2,000 pounds. When that happens, it forces the blood away from your brain, impairing your judgment and your reacting time, which ultimately causes someone to pass out. Now, you can't pass out, you in a jet. And if you're in a real mission, you don't want to run into the mountain and die. You don't want to black out in your jet and get shot down and die either. Time is going to be the biggest adversary. That's the biggest thing we have to worry about. That is our main threat. Because as soon as we come down and hit that enemy base, that's going to alert the enemies. They're going to send their jets. They'll be there. They will be there within 3 minutes. We got to get in, stay low, stay up under that 100 feet, make it through the canyon, come up, hit the target. We got to hit the target and make it out without running into the mountain and without passing out. It's a lot. It's a lot. And that's why I like it, because this movie, the stakes are high. And that's what helps with the pacing. You know what needs to be done, when we need to do it, and what happens if we don't succeed. So Maverick takes the team on a simulation where they can start practicing what needs to be done. Perfecting all the maneuvers, perfecting the speed, perfecting not passing out, perfecting the whole nine. So they've been practicing hard the last couple of days, going hard, trying to perfect it. Maverick decides to take the team to the beach and have fun, just to take their mind off the mission. So they play beach football, but it's in a dogfight type of way. So basically it's offense and defense at the same time. They having a blast, having fun. It's a callback to the first movie when everybody was having fun. General Kane comes up to Maverick like, what you doing? Like, every minute counts. Why are you out here playing football? You're supposed to be building a team. Maverick points to the team, celebrating, having fun. He tells Kane like, there's your team right there. He's building camaraderie. He's building a natural bond. He's building a real team where everybody cares about one another and has each other's backs. So in the next scene, the team gets called in for a briefing and they are told that the mission has been moved up a week. So that increases the stakes. That just intensifies everything. And they are also told that the general believes that Maverick isn't capable of leading this team, so he relieves him of his duties. Maverick isn't in charge of leading the team anymore, teaching the team anymore. So the team is like freaking out. They all mad about it. The general brings in a new guy that changes the strategy completely. So Maverick was trying to do the mission in 2.5 minutes. The new guy comes in and bumps it up to 4 minutes. Now, we know that time is the greatest adversary. He changes the time, he changes the speed, and he also changes the altitude. So they're not flying at that 100 feet altitude anymore. They're flying 500 and above. But I told you that the enemy has superior aircrafts. They have better aircrafts. That's going to provoke a dogfight. And they have the better aircraft, so chances are they're going to win. So the team is livid. Everybody's mad. They're looking at each other. Everybody's smacking their lips, hitting their leg. Now, while he's explaining that, they get a radar. Somebody has stolen the jet. Turns out it's Maverick. And he's about to do what he's been trying to teach his class to do. He's just trying to prove it can be done. He sets this time for 2 minutes and 15 seconds, not even 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes and 15 seconds. So the whole class stands up, they're looking at the screen. Everybody's in awe, like, okay, let's see if this can be done. Let's see if even the general is in there. Let's see if it can be done. Let's watch him. Maverick goes in, goes through the mountains, goes through the canyons. Below 100 feet, gotta stay low. Below 100 feet, comes up to the mountain, because the enemy base is in between the two mountains. So he comes up, comes down, hits the target, comes out without passing out in under 2 minutes and 15 seconds, just to prove it could be done. So that has the whole class in an uproar. Everybody's cheering. The general's salty, and it was a good thing because Maverick proved that his strategy works. It's risky, but it works, and it's better than getting into a dogfight against these superior aircrafts. You're not going to win that. We're not going to win it that way. After Maverick proves that it can be done, the general calls Maverick into his office again, basically telling him that you are no longer teaching this. You are about to lead this. You are about to be in the mission now. So choose your team, choose your roster. Choose who you want with you. Maverick chooses his people. Among the people he chooses is Rooster. Now it's time to prove yourself, Rooster. It's time to prove that you deserve to be here. Show me I was wrong for pulling your papers. Show me that you care. Show me that you want this. So it's the day of the mission now. Today is the day. Today is the day we've been training for so long. It's time to do it. Maverick takes his team. Everybody says their goodbyes. People praying because they don't know if they're going to make it back. It's a risky thing. Maverick takes his team. So it's 4 jets. 2 people in each jet. 2 teams. The first team goes. Makes it through the canyon. They're going through the canyon. They're going through the... Remember, you got to stay low. You only got 2.5 minutes, but you got to stay low. First team makes it through. Rooster is in the other team, and he's trailing behind. He's moving too slow. The pressure is starting to get to him. He's starting to get nervous. He's thinking about other things. Everybody's on the radio. Rooster, speed up, let's go, speed up. Let's go, we only got 2.5 minutes, let's go. He ends up coming to, snapping out of that scary stuff, starting to speed back up and catch up with the group. So first team goes, makes it through the canyon, come up the mountain, marks the target. The second team has to hit the target. Second team, which is Rooster's team, comes up, hits the target. Now they have to make it through this steep climb without passing out and without getting detected. But once they make it out the mountain, they reach an altitude that is higher than 500 feet. So now the enemies are on their way and they can shoot them down. They get into a dogfight. We didn't want this because they got the superior aircrafts, superior jets, but it is what it is. Now we are in a dogfight. They are chasing them. They got the better weapons. So target, behind them, missiles coming their way. They shoot the flares out. To deflect the missiles. It comes to a point where Rooster's jet, missiles are locked onto his jet. Maverick comes around, blocks the missiles from coming with his flares, but his jet gets shot down. Maverick is out. Before you see him, his scene cuts off, you hear everybody on the radio, Maverick, we gotta go back for Maverick. The General Kane is like, no, come back home, come back to home base. Rooster, we can't abandon Maverick, we can't, we gotta keep going. Maverick, you can see him eject out his jet. You can see a parachute, so he didn't die, but he's in enemy territory now. So the general is ordering the other teams to come back home. Rooster is like, no, I'm not leaving Maverick no matter what. Turns around, puts himself back in harm's way. His jet ends up getting shot down too. He ejects out of his jet. You can see the parachute come out, so he didn't die in the air. Maverick didn't die in the air. They just they parachute down into enemy territory now. It's even more risky. So Maverick is down there first. He's trying to find his way through the forest. He ends up seeing Rooster. He's like, what are you doing? You supposed to go home, woo, all of this. So you give him a hard time. They end up hugging each other though. They're both happy that they're alive. One of the things that I appreciate about this movie is the fact that it wasn't predictable. They could have easily made it where they accomplish the mission, come down, hit the target, go out, make it home, roll the credits, everybody wins. Good guys win, end of the movie. But that's predictable. So on their way out, Maverick gets shot down, Rooster gets shot down. Now they're in a jam because they both are stuck in enemy territory. How you gonna get home? Maverick's plan is to steal one of the enemy jets and fly his way home, him and Rooster. So Rooster is now Mav's wingman, just like his father Goose was in the first movie. Maverick is leading the way. He got Rooster behind him. He's trying to protect Rooster at all costs. He'll sacrifice himself if need be. So they ended up finding a jet, finding an old jet too. It was old. It was one of the older generations. Barely works, but it does work. They get it in the air, and because it's an enemy jet, the enemies recognize their own jet, but when they start giving certain signals, Maverick and Rooster don't know those signals, so they just try to best, laugh it off or wave or whatever. They ended up realizing that these are enemies, let's shoot them down. So they get into another dogfight. Mind you, they got the superior aircraft. Maverick and Rooster are in an old jet. Certain bells and whistles don't work, the screen don't work, the flares don't work. They have to just make it home as best as they can. They get into a dogfight, and it basically comes to the point where the enemy is behind Maverick and Rooster, got their missiles locked on them. Maverick is saying, sorry, Goose, because he's about to not only did he let Goose down, now he's about to let down his son. They about to die in the same way. And right before that happens, Hangman, one of the students, basically comes and shoot down the plane. It's a great day. Hangman saved the day, and they are on their way home, back to the home base. The wheels and stuff are messed up, so it's gonna be a sketchy landing, but at least they're alive. And that concluded the mission. Now let me say this. Top Gun Maverick, 10 out of 10. This was the best, in my opinion, the best movie that came out last year, 2022, and I loved Wakanda Forever. Don't get me wrong, I love Black Panther too, I did. But Top Gun Maverick, by far, was the superior movie. 10 out of 10, 5 stars. Great movie. One of the best movies I've seen in years. And I watched a lot of movies. And now it's time for the fun fact part of the show. I got 3 for you today. So, fun fact number 1. The scenes where the actors are inside the plane filming the aerial stunts, they were actually in those planes. Almost every actor threw up filming this movie except for 2, and Tom Cruise was one of them. So when you see the plane going up, those actors are really in those planes going up. You see them going down, really in the plane going down. So you see the expressions on their faces. They're not acting. Those are their genuine reactions. They were actually in those planes. That's number 1. Number 2, Tom Cruise pulled strings to make sure that Val Kilmer was in this movie to reprise his role as Iceman. He said he would not do it without Val Kilmer. I need my guy in this movie, period. And number 3, Val Kilmer in real life has been battling throat cancer for years now, which has messed up his speech. He can't really talk like that. So in the movie, when he has his throat covered up by that scarf, it's really to block the hole in his neck. And when he has to use the machine to communicate with Tom Cruise, Maverick, it's like that for a reason. They didn't just write that for no reason. They could have easily written Val Kilmer's character out of the script, but Tom Cruise didn't want it that way. He wanted his guy in there, and I respect that. So that's it for Half Man, Half Amazing. It's my second review. More reviews on the way. Make sure you leave a comment on what you think about the video, and give me a comment on what you would like for me to review next.